Hello, Joe.
Hello, Emma.
This is a very exciting episode because we are recording together right next to each other. For those watching, we are not sure where to look because usually we have the screen and we can look at each other, but we're like next to each other, trying to look at camera, trying to look at each other because we haven't seen each other in real life for 18 months. So this is a very exciting day and it's very exciting to be together.
It is. And for those people that have spent any time in the tropics, you will be able to empathise that we are both sitting next to each other, pretty much just sweating it out.
Yeah. In a beautiful setting. We chose a very picturesque spot with lots of greenery around us. But yes, Joe is visiting Singapore, which is fantastic. So we couldn't not record this together. Joe, how does it feel being back in Southeast Asia and being able to do these quick trips to different places?
This, I think, had been one of the reasons that I was just so excited when this opportunity came up. I was like, when we lived in Singapore, that proximity to everything that Australia just does not have, and then rural Australia does not have proximity to. So I think that was such a big driver for us being able to not only come back for the job and the school thing and all of the bits and pieces, but I think that proximity piece is awesome. So I've actually brought the kids with me, taken them out of school for a day. But even last night, as we landed at like sort of 12:30 at night, getting into a car to drive into town to stay with some friends, and my 12-year-old, who hasn't been here for 2 years, was like, oh, there's where we had our end of year party, and oh, there's that jumbo shrimp place that you made us eat crab, and I was like, this kid's muscle memory is like next level. So we stayed last night at a friend's place, which is next door to the condo that we used to live in. So I literally walked out onto the same street this morning, got on the same train that I got on at the same station when we lived here. So it was just glorious. I didn't need to look at my map. I literally have not looked at my Google Maps this morning, which I'm feeling like my face is glued to Google Maps in Bangkok at the moment. And I've literally just felt like I've come back to one of my other homes.
Yeah, that's a really interesting space to be within, because the memories being here would be very fresh of relocating here as well, but also of it being your home. How are you sitting with having those two sitting side by side?
Well, I think like that home conversation is super interesting that you bring it up, because the 10-year-old at the airport last night was like, I feel like we're coming home. Because again, that the indication of how much bouncing around we did in Asia, we spent a lot of time at Changi Airport.
Yes.
And so the girls, it actually feels like a familiar airport. And because they're getting bigger, I'm actually trying to get them to do all the navigating at the airports. And so when we got to Bangkok Airport last night, I said, right, you guys are on.
Yeah.
Go and find where we check in, go and find where we do these things. But when we got off the plane in Singapore last night, they were like, oh, we know where to go.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I haven't been here for 2 years.
Yeah. I feel like that idea of home is something I'd really love to chat about more, because for you, there's home Australia where your passport is, home here where you've lived and where your girls have some core memories. You're creating a new home in Bangkok. How do you sit with that concept of home?
I'm very much of the cliche, home is where the heart is, which is completely at odds with my 12-year-old, who is like, my home is the farm with all of my stuff, and I never want to live anywhere again. So us talking about home last night, again, the 10-year-old was like, does this count as my home? Like talking about Singapore. And I said, well, you can count it as whatever you want. So that's so funny that we're talking about that, because it was a conversation we literally had last night. But for me, like, I'm a gypsy at heart. Like, I love this. I love that I can feel super comfortable and familiar and home-like in a place that I lived and, spend a chunk of time. I still feel the same about Scotland. Yeah. I feel I haven't been back to Canada since we lived there, but I feel that I would still be able to get around in our neighbourhood in Vancouver and be able to, find my way around, and hopefully the same like wings place that does like chicken wings only is still in operation. That's the only thing, and particularly in Singapore, I think anyone that's spent any time here will agree that the food and beverage turnover is wild. And so I'm meeting a friend for lunch today, and I said, oh, let's meet at this place. And she's like, oh, that's a watch shop now.
Oh.
It's just like literally not even food and beverage anymore. Like the places just turn over.
I actually went to book us lunch, and one of your favourite, that gorgeous cafe up on the hill has closed down. And so I'm sorry, we couldn't go there, but we can pick that up offline. But yeah, it's very true. There is a big turnover in that. So it's actually, you can't get too connected to those kind of things. It's more that feeling, like you said, coming here and the humidity you feel and the memories that brings back of like being on the street and catching the MRT.
Okay, I'm not that attached to the humidity side, just to clarify.
I feel like you're really enjoying this recording outside that I encouraged us to do.
Look, to be fair, it is definitely more humid in Singapore, but geez, Bangkok is definitely, the temperature is definitely higher. But like I think the home piece is a really interesting thing, and that varies so much for everyone, like so many people. And I know that can be, if you're more like my daughter who is a physical homebody, and it's those place-based things that does make this moving around and ability to lock things in and feel comfortable and stuff much more challenging. Whereas I'm like, I've got my people here.
Yeah.
Whatever, different place. I find my new coffee shop. I find my new, what was favourite lunch place that's now a watch shop. I just find a new one.
So speaking of physical things, last time we chatted to you, you had handed over your husband's passport in the hope that your furniture might return one day. Where are you at with that? Have you got a house full of things, or do you have a new husband? Give us the update from last week.
Okay, so no, neither. We have no furniture and no passport or work pass. So
cool. So you might not get back into Thailand after this visit?
Well, he didn't come, so I'm fine. Like we can come and go. He might be just trapped in Thailand for the foreseeable future. Yeah, no sign of passport or furniture. I literally emailed a few people when we were like, anyone going to send through the passport? And I feel that some other people on the email chain had thought we already had it.
Cool.
So, yeah. Anyway, turns out our stuff is arriving.
Oh, that's good. So at least it has served a purpose. You will have things.
We will have things, but the things are all arriving while I'm here in Singapore.
Oh, my goodness.
So my husband is just like, grrr. And he also has managed to hurt his foot, so he's also in a full cast so he's going to be like receiving a 40-foot shipping container of stuff by himself on crutches this weekend.
Wow.
I know. I'm not very popular at the moment.
So with this kind of creating your home in Bangkok, the unpacking process, and how do you create a home there? If for you the physical stuff is so important, but obviously you've brought a lot of stuff. That's not a small container.
Yeah. We bought all the stuff. I feel we've bought all the stuff, though, to clarify, not because we're like desperate to make our apartment our home. We've bought it more of a logistics thing, as like work was paying for it, and that means we don't have to pay for storage in Australia.
Yeah.
So we're already concerned that there's going to be a whole farmhouse-sized amount of furniture arriving into a Bangkok-sized apartment, but whatever, that's future us problem.
It's Monday Joe.
Monday Joe. That's Monday Joe's problem. What makes it a home? I think what makes a place a home for me, because I'm not even really a stuff person, is the fact that my people are there. But with that said, my people are stuff people, so I think having our stuff there will make it more of a home. And something that we did actually in Singapore as well, which we've done this time, is actually send artwork and prints and things that are on the walls at home. I feel just those incidental of when you're just walking around at home and catching glimpses of things that look familiar, I think that helps.
Yeah.
But like, it's not a particularly practical thing to be shipping around art, and like, because we've got some nice stuff. Like, I've got 2 2 by 2 meter paintings coming on the boat this time, which is ridiculous. And we did not do that last time, but we were again like, oh, we thought we sold our house, so let's take all of our stuff. And anyway, art apparently.
Yeah. And when it's all, you'll appreciate it once it's arrived.
Oh, it's going to look spectacular.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the apartment, I feel like someone who did the lighting in there was obviously an art lover, because they've literally it's going to be nice. Watch this space.
Okay, well, that's exciting. It's good to know that stuff has arrived. Passport.
Okay,
let's
just not say it's arrived just yet. It's in port.
Okay, but you have a date. Like, hopefully by the time you're back in Thailand, you've got things around you.
True.
Yeah. I like to be optimistic.
Yeah, I feel like I'm going to have chaos around me.
Yes.
I'm going to have a very miserable husband on crutches who's going to be like, there's stuff everywhere and they wanted to take the boxes, so there's now piles of stuff, not boxes of stuff.
So there's not going to be some kind of miracle where he suddenly unpacks the entire house.
I can't imagine so. Unless he's like loaded on painkillers and has put some non-slip thing on his on the bottom of his cast.
Oh my gosh.
I know. Gosh. Anyway.
But all part of the settling process.
100%.
Anything else that's happened over the last week that we need to catch up on? Any more networking events, spontaneous catch-ups, new routines?
Did I tell you about my blind date?
No.
Okay, so we went on a blind date as a family. Some friends from Singapore. I've got some friends that moved to Bangkok maybe 6 months before us.
Yep.
And they did the standard WhatsApp group and introduced, and maybe you guys will be friends. And then it was such an awkward thing, because it could actually really not work out with some people. Anyway, I was like, in true Joe style, I was like, great to meet you. What are you doing tomorrow? Do you want a coffee? And I don't know if their reaction was like, this chick is crazy, but okay. And they said yes. And so we met at a coffee shop between our places. And then I realized I had no idea what they looked like. And so I sent a selfie of myself. I was like, heads up, this is what I look like. And anyway, they seem to appreciate it. Anyway, I think they're going to be friends, and we've already been messaging, and we have a group chat now just with us.
I love that, because actually in the last week, I have connected you with a friend from Singapore who is looking to move to Bangkok. And I think that is one of the things that, like, you are particularly open to it, but most people are really open to being connected, because life is pretty transient when you're, particularly in the expat world, but in other communities where there might be sort of FIFO workers, or like military communities where you're moving every few years, and people are open to have those conversations and catch-ups that I don't think they always are in a town where you go to high school and you buy your white picket fence and, settle down for life. Because, again, straight away you were like, yep, connect me, and you've gone off and had a conversation. Mm-hmm. And I just think it's a really good reminder of being open to those opportunities and to connecting people. Like, yeah, it goes such a long way. Like, saying, oh, I know someone, let me help you out. Gosh, it makes such a difference.
Okay, so get this, though. I did have another one of these that's even more sort of obscure. I don't know if that's the right word, but obscure is probably more than like friends connecting friends who they assume would actually get along. I spoke at an event in Melbourne, I don't know, maybe 12 months ago, briefly crossed over with one of the panelists, and we connected on LinkedIn post-event. And I saw recently that she was advertising for a role. So the business is Melbourne-based, but was advertising for a role that could be filled in Melbourne, Thailand or Vietnam.
Yeah.
And I just sent her a message and was like, so cool. I can see that you're sort of expanding into Southeast Asia. I said, I've just moved to Bangkok. Like, let me know if I can help or do anything. And she sent me a message back and was like, yeah, we've actually already got team in Bangkok. Do you need connections and friends? I said, sure. So she's connected me with her office manager in Thailand. And so we're going to catch up next week.
That's, I mean, it's very you, but it's also, I think, something that even as an introvert, I have done in these places where I've put myself out of my comfort zone, and it pays off. Like, You don't have
Yeah.
to be best friends with them, but every conversation you learn something new. You might be connected to someone else, or it's just getting out and getting a different perspective on things. So I think that's such a good reminder.
I agree. I just wanted to sort of go back to what you were just saying about how it is different in this sort of situation as opposed to relocating towns domestically, maybe wherever you're from, or to a smaller place, or even to a suburb in a big city. Like, they can be really cliquey, and people have already got their people, and if they grew up there, all of the bits and pieces that go with that. I think as well, it's almost like that startup mentality of employing people. So, like, hire slow but fire fast. There's this ability to just, if you meet someone, so actually it's not really the hire slow. I'm like, meet fast and fire fast as well. But like that concept of meeting people, and if you're like not feeling the vibe, you just don't contact them again. And it's not a weird thing.
You're encouraging our members and listeners to ghost people.
To ghost people. No, I'm not really doing that. But
no, I know what you mean though. I
there's
think
less of an obligation to really double down. And if sometimes when you're moving to a smaller place, you're like, that's not a particularly great values alignment, or I don't really love on what that person said about this, and this, but like, it's a small place and I'm trying to make friends. You don't have to do that. You can just cut your losses. You're like, cool, I had a coffee with someone interesting who I can't really see myself being friends with or wanting to spend time with. And especially if you're in a big place, you can quite often literally never see them again.
That does feel like a very big city opportunity. I mean, you have the experience of being a country town gal, which I don't, and I think it would be quite different in that situation.
100%.
Yeah.
It is 100% different. And I think that is a very, very big difference between relocating into an expat scene as it is when you're relocating domestically or to a smaller area or a more isolated place. Like, we've had some meetings this week with people that have spent time in literally jungles in Indonesia and Malaysia.
I was just thinking the same thing, like, where they're
in a camp. Yeah, literally in a camp in the jungle, and you gotta suck it up. Those people are literally the only people to hang out with, but they're also who you have to depend on for the village thing if you've got a family, or just a sounding board if you want to vent about your spouse or any of those bits and pieces. That is a very different experience.
That's a conversation we should bring here.
It is. But I think that's also a really interesting thing for like our listeners and members and things that are defence spouses. Like that military base scene is, again, that's like a little country town. Those ones are tough and sometimes cliquey and sometimes really challenging. Other times, from all reports, those can be incredible, but it does depend on, the culture that's been established in a base. And, that's another very tricky sort of piece.
And just to bring it back to us, it's also why we've created Allura, because it's often those situations become very socially focused or about the dynamics within a friendship or a family or whatever, as opposed to being about your career and who you are as an individual and how you're staying connected outside of those worlds. Yeah. And that's why we've created Allura, because we're giving those different perspectives and connections to people all over the world doing the same thing in different locations. Didn't mean to turn this into a business pitch, but here we are.
This is the joys of running your own podcast interview series, that you can do whatever you want.
On that note, I feel like I'd love to just hang out with you without it being recorded.
Sounds like a plan.
Until next week.
Sounds good.
See ya.
Bye.